Shalom and welcome to Mitzvah Torah. This year is entitled Looking for Truth. Maybe skip a stop at Harvard University. Of course, I don't mean to say chas v'shalom, that all Harvard research is flawed, but the case over here, very, very troubling, to say the least. June 19, 2018, Science Times reports that a study that was going to test the effects of beer on one's health and actually try to show the benefit of having a beer, one drink a day. Hundreds of millions of dollars going into the study, which sounds great. More money, could do a broader study and avoid all other factors that might take away from the objectivity of the study. That's a lot of money. Interestingly enough, study being funded by, you got it, the beer industry for over $100 million. You'll say, well, okay, so maybe they're funding it, but the scientists are scientists. No reason to assume that. Once there's power coming from the beer industry, the alcohol industry, you could set up a trial any way you want. So you could go in and try to set up a trial in a way that could show certain health benefits from one drink a day, and it will not show the risk of cancer. Now, previous trials showed the risk of cancer. There's one difference. Beer is considered carcinogen, and it can result in cancer, as previous studies showed, but it takes years for that to develop. It's a very slow developing cancer. This trial was set up that it would last only a short period of time, enough to show some possible benefits without showing the risk of the cancer. And why would any scientist do that? Well, we have 100 million reasons to do that. What's the bottom line? The Torah already told us 3,000 years ago, watch out, shochad, bribery will blind you. And it will blind the Gadol Hador. It will certainly blind a Harvard professor. In this case, some quotes from the article regarding the name and some of the procedures regarding the trial and why it was stopped by the National Institute of Health. They realized there's too many red flags here. The name of the doctor is Dr. Kenneth Mukamal, the lead investigator of the trial. He was in close, frequent contact with beer and liquor executives while planning the study. And they showed in the now someone investigating the investigation showed disturbing examples of the coziness between the scientists and the industry patrons. The strategy of engagement with industry was effective. 5 large beer and liquor companies eventually agreed to pick up most of the $100 million tab for the 10-year randomized trial. 10 years sounds great, but not if it's looking to pick up cancerous results from beer drinking, because that takes more than 10 years. Coincidentally, the trial wasn't going to last that long. It was intended to test the hypothesis that one drink a day is better for one's heart than none. It is not that the trial wasn't simply set up to show there's no harm in beer drinking. No, there's a benefit in drinking for the heart. Once a day is better than not drinking at all, among other benefits of moderate drinking. It was devised in a way that would not pick up harms, such as an increase in cancers or heart failures associated with alcohol. Tragic points. Scientists who came up with the trial were aware it was not large enough to detect a rise in breast cancer and acknowledged and grant reviewers that the study was focused on benefits and not power to identify negative health effects. They're setting up the trial that way. Setting it up that way. And the industry is funding it. No coincidence there, it seems at all. And it continues with a lot more information. The title is An Unbiased Study is Found to be Industry Friendly. An unbiased study. My goal here is not simply to go ahead and show the flaw behind the specific alcohol study, which at one point the study was going to be named CHEERS, short for Cardiovascular Health Effects of Ethanol Research Study. It will be a new drinking game. Every time you hear it, you must assume it's a toast, and you'll have a drink. They canned that name. What is my goal? Not to go in and analyze this specific study. And does beer drinking, 1 beer a day, help the heart? Does it result possibly in risk for cancer? That's a big question, way above my abilities to answer. My goal is to try to show that it is very, very, very hard to reach MS, to reach objectivity, and to be truly honest where you remove all bias. Billy Joel said many years ago, honesty is such a lonely word. I don't know if he was referring to this, but it's true. True honesty, true objectivity, a search for MS where there's nothing pulling you one way or another, that's precious. Precious. In Judaism, I think we have many, many, many people who are involved in that. And one great reason is Talmudic study. A person studies Gemara all day long. Hopefully, has to do a lot of work on Midas as well, so that it's not just an independent analytical skill that's developing without a whole personal development, but teaching a Gemara teaches a person to analyze step by step by step and remove any intuitive, impulsive, emotional, biased feelings you may have on a topic and just analyze the topic from a purely logical, rational, halachic standpoint. And if we have years of training development in proper Talmudic halachic analysis, then, maybe only then, can remove these kind of biases that could creep in. So when it comes to different studies, am I saying reject all of them? Chas v'shalom, not. Chabder v'chashter, be careful. Here we have leaders. Google this person. Google this person's name. Dr. Kenneth J. Mukamo. And he appears with the Harvard site. Prestigious individual. He gives a list of all his studies, his papers, his essays. But watch out. Watch out. When there's money involved, closest to an industry, the very industry that you're investigating, when that's involved, there could be a lot of mush, even in a brilliant scientist's mind. Shalom.